Good evening, everyone. It's Wednesday, September 3rd. This is the meeting of the Rockport School Committee. Our meeting is being videotaped, and we will begin with introductions, starting with Mr. Lorenz.
Mark Lorenz, School Committee member.
Nicole Altieri, School Committee Vice Chair.
Amy Oakes, School Committee Chair.
Good evening, Mark Branco, Superintendent.
Jessica DeLisi, School Committee.
So before we go any further, we have really loud microphones, and I wonder if the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain will turn a button and my voice will gradually become less echoey. Thank you so much. All right. We'll begin with the approval of the minutes from our August 20th meeting. They've been in our Google Drive. I'm hoping everyone's had a time to review them. Are there any changes, modifications? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I don't vote right.
Thank you. That motion passes. Public comment tonight? I see none. Correspondence, Dr. Branco?
None at this time.
Thank you. Donations?
None at this time.
And personnel?
We do have personnel tonight. Let's see if this works any better. Ooh, how's that? Okay. Ashley Corriggio resigned from her position of a paraprofessional, so we wish her the best of luck as she moves on. Lucy Smallman has been hired as a paraprofessional, so welcome to Rockport Public Schools, Lucy. And Sarah Brown has resigned from her position as a paraprofessional. And once again, as is often the case, some of our paraprofessionals move on to lead teacher roles in other school districts, and I know that that is Sarah's destination, so we thank her for her time and congratulate her on bumping into the ranks of a full-time teacher.
Thank you so much. That brings us to item number 7 on the agenda, unfinished business. That's the review, development, and approval, if we're ready, of our school committee goal for the 25-26 school year. School committee members have had time to review this goal. It was also in the Google Drive, and there it is. I wonder if we have any discussion, or Dr. Branco, do you have any wisdom for us?
Just to let the public know once again that the school committee had a great retreat a couple of weeks back to prep for the summer, and that in an effort to keep our goals moving forward, they've done some work in the retreat and then offline to make sure that we can have sort of an iterative process to move forward. And this time around, Chairwoman Oakes will take us through a little bit on a community connections and advocacy goal, where we've kind of strengthened the key actions that the committee will be involved in, which will directly relate to some of my superintendent goals, as well as some of the work of the district leadership team this year.
So I think that if we think back to last year, the title of this goal was Communication and Advocacy. And as a result of our work together, we've shifted that just a little bit. And the new verbiage is Community Connections and Advocacy. And that first part really is focusing on active listening so that we're not just communicating, pushing information out, but we're really being mindful this year to listen to our community to hear what's on their mind. And so as you see, what we've stated as a goal is that we want to engage in and support actions that will create ongoing and effective community communications. And we want to focus on our commitment to providing all of our students with an inclusive, nurturing, and high-quality educational experience. I think that goes without saying. That's the heart of what we do. And we also want to continue to advocate for community support for maintaining a comprehensive local school district that supports a multi-generational community. And I'll say that one more time. I think that's important. Continued advocacy for community support for maintaining a comprehensive local school district that supports our multi-generational community. So we have 4 actions. The first is to continue to publish what we think is an excellent newsletter created by Dr. Branco and his staff in the Loop, We hope to see that 3 times per year in whatever format the superintendent and his staff think is most appropriate, right? We don't actually get that far into the weeds, but we want to be sure that we do see that 3 times this year. For the first time, perhaps in a while, we've also committed to a mid-year retreat for some professional development that focuses on active listening. And we think that will help us. And then action number 3, we've tried to do this before. Perhaps we haven't met this goal, but we want to try it again. Whether we go alone or in pairs, we want to go with the superintendent out into the community. Over the course of the year, we'd like to get out 4 to 5 times to really listen to what's on people's mind and to report back. That's not 4 to 5 times for each of us. That's 4 to 5 times total for all of us. And then finally, I think this goes without saying, but we want to be sure that we engage with our Town of Rockport committees on behalf of our schools and that we report back as appropriate. So we think those 4 areas are important. We think that that's manageable, and we're committed to that work. I wonder, are we ready to vote to adopt these? All right, then I'd like a motion, please, to adopt these 25-26 school year goals as written.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, that leads us into item number 8, new business. This is really lovely. This is our back to school update. This is one of the most fun
So
moments.
We have yet to have a full first
No
week.
pressure.
Right? No pressure.
Okay, go ahead.
We had a few days, a few days with staff last week, and as you know, a few opening days with students, and then came right back after the long weekend with the first 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday. I got into I think almost every classroom the first day at the middle high school, and then today got into first and second grade lunch, and then third, fourth, and fifth grade classrooms, and I was even given a free sample of the Smiley tater tots because one of the first graders thought I needed to taste them. And then another first grader told me that his grandmother made them. So it was a really, really fun lunch for me today, 4 tater tots. So this is just a quick snap of the agenda, just so that you can see that we had a really busy 2 days. We'd like to thank the RTA PTO, RESA for sponsoring lunches and breakfasts. The Ed Foundation came in and explained to the staff, their value to the community. So I do want to thank them again publicly for supporting us in numerous ways, financially and philosophically. Thank you to Brothers Brew, who sponsored our service recognition this year, where we recognized 82 staff members who had 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 plus years of service, and they wound up with Brothers Brew gift cards in increments based on how old they are or how long they've been here, dare I say, right? So it was really good. So thank you to the community. Another good example of the community stepping up for us. And we had some really nice thematic work. We took Principal Rose sent out a great survey after these 2 days to check in, and I'm not sure if this is on your topic of conversation, so I don't mean to steal your thunder, but she sent out a great survey on the professional development aspect of this, asking staff if they got what they needed, how they enjoyed the 2 days. We had a Project Lead the Way type day on day 2, and we had some central office and building led work on day 1 and day 2 by department and by school. So it was really a robust day. We do our best to give educators time in their classroom. It's probably never enough in those first 2 days, so I'm guessing that would be some of the feedback we got, is if we could find a way to give more clock time in those 2 days just to set up rooms and get ready. But it's a really busy 2 days. So Chairwoman Oakes gave a great welcome on behalf of the school committee, which was met with nice feedback on the survey as well, so that's good to hear. So I do think that was a great 2 days. We took the trust triangle work that the school committee did in the retreat. We used it in the leadership retreat, and then we used it again at the full staff on the first 2 days. And I almost forgot to remind us that with our new contracts with RESA, we now have all members of the second bargaining group on those first 2 days as well. So everybody got to come back really together, full force, and really do some good community. building. So we had conversations as a full staff around trust. We did small talk and turn-in talks around our strengths and our areas of wobble. We talked about, I believe this was Ms. Luster's coined this phrase, this year of coherence and growth was sort of our focus for this year. Had conversations around how time and proximity doesn't actually equal knowing and belonging. Even in a school district of this size, it's fascinating to see, teachers from way down one end of the elementary school either not know or rarely ever get to communicate with a teacher way up in the top corner of the high school, middle school. So we talked about that when it comes to knowing our kids and our families as well, that time and proximity doesn't automatically forge relationships in the sense of belonging. And then we talked about belonging by design and how that's important for all of us to do that work. And I know, Ms. Good, you spoke about this at our last meeting. I'm guessing this will come up more over the next couple of meetings as well, but some of our leadership team members went to a really great DESE professional development session this summer and helped us kind of work through the crosswalk between the work we've done in this district around our core values and our focus areas and our SDI and how they really do align with DESE. And I think it's important for people to know that if you've been in education as long as some of us have, there's been a big shift around reporting growth and achievement, a big shift on what's important as far as access and equity and all of the components that need to be in place for meeting the needs of a whole child. Dare I say, before you can really make sure you're pushing on academic growth and achievement. And interestingly enough, some of us, again, have been around for a long time since Mitchell Chester was here in 1993 when ed reform hit. And so if you're that old like I am, you know that that was a long time ago, and it was a high-end focus on compliance and a high-end focus almost in a punitive way on how schools are or aren't meeting thresholds. So this document on the right, which is sure that their cheat sheet really does do a really nice job of talking about DESE's educational vision around fostering cultures that have individualized supports, relevant real-world learning experiences that are interactive and inclusive, and making sure our students and staff, for that matter, feel known and valued within their learning community. Subsequent meetings will really be, how this is a baseline year for us when it comes to this kind of work, and then it's really launch after that to really see if we're really measuring growth and achievement in a measurable way that we can be proud of. So that's sort of what happened in those first couple of days, and I will turn it over to our principals who are going to tell you what happened in the buildings.
We'll try this. So this is, I think, fourth year for me that I'm entering as principal, and each year it just gets better and better. So we have some more fun things to greet the students out front. We had Gigi. This year we were able to get a costume, but the children think that Gigi is hiding in my office and is real. Gigi's the penguin for ST Math, not the school mascot, but we have a lot of work that we're going to do with Gigi this year. So we have so many pictures of Gigi and students, some with parents as well. We put out the love rainbow for the students, and it was so fun to just see the kids get excited and parents say to me, I know I'm not supposed to get out of my car, but I have to snap a quick photo. And then we have a couple signs around the classroom or the school that say, everyone welcome, everyone belongs. I think there are a couple more pictures. So Sarah Tatro is our art teacher at the elementary school, and she's been wonderful. And each year she has had some of her students at the end of the school year, and then some that she works with in the summer, create posters and signs to welcome the students back that she puts throughout the hallway. So that's one that they made, RES Rocks. And the elementary school, let's see, we welcomed 262 students, pre-K to grade 5, 31 kindergarten students, 22 preschool students, 8 new students in grades 1 through 5, 2 new paraprofessionals, and 2 new permanent substitutes. So we welcomed a lot of new faces to the school, and so far, very few tears, which has been wonderful, even from the adults as well. Yeah. But the kindergarten students and preschool, today was their second day. Some of the preschoolers, this was their first because of the rotation that they take. So lots of smiles and kind of blank stares of, where do I go? What do I do? I had to pry a couple kids off of moms. But then they came with me happily and tried to send photos home within the hour to the parents just to say they're fine, they're thriving and happy. So it was nice to make some connections with the little ones. I think down below, or all these are just some of our older students. And And it's just so funny to see them throughout the years, especially when they get to 5th grade. But you can show the next slide if you want. I think we just have a few more pictures. And the 5th graders just kept saying, I can't believe I'm in 5th grade now. So it's been fun to see them, for me, over 4.5, 5 years or so.
What did the pencil say to the other on the first day of school?
I don't know, I wasn't there to hear the answer.
Just
Just submitted.
just checking.
That's a tough question, Amy. Yes, ask Vito. Hopefully he will remember.
I also think I saw the welcome back video that the staff made, and that was everything. It was so great. It was
Thank you.
amazing.
It was fun.
It was must
really
have been
fun
so
to make.
fun for the kids to see that. I can just imagine them being like, "Oh my gosh, there's Miss Rice, there's Miss Connect."
Yes, and it was fun too. Some came out as teams, which was great, and other adults just matched up with whoever was next and just kind of went with it. So we haven't done anything like that before, but we decided this year, now that I feel we worked really hard over the past few years to ensure that teachers are teaching in the grade and the program that I feel, we all feel are best for them and where they're really going to shine. So I feel like this is the first year everyone is where they should be, students and teachers and staff alike. So we decided we're going to have some more fun and take some time to do those things. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, my favorite. So welcoming the kids back kicked off the week before school started with our annual senior cruise, which is always one of my favorite events. I think it's the 20th one that I've been on, and it just keeps getting better. I feel like the kids just really shine. Every group is a little bit different. Some dance a lot. The parents always come, and every year it's like either the kids and the parents dance the whole time, or the parents are downstairs and the kids are upstairs. It's kind of the case this year, but they had a great time. We cruised around Cape Ann. We started off that way. The seniors also then do a breakfast on opening morning. We did that at Brackett's Ocean View, which was really nice. And then we always meet with the seniors first thing in the morning and really start to rally that relationship with them around, you're now the leaders of the school. You shape it. You are, change it for us all in a good, positive or negative way. And this group is going to be a fantastic group. They've been amazing. They're going to help us kick off our new mentorship program next week in assembly. And it's really exciting to see, I think, what we're going to be able to forge with that. We welcome the 6th grade and freshmen through orientations that same week, the week before. And again, this is only my second year formally opening the 6 through 12 school. But I think the best part about it is like the 9th graders are no longer really new to me. And the only really new faces are the 6th grade. And they come in from the elementary so excited to be in middle school. Everything is exciting. Everything is awesome. They have so much energy, which you don't always get at the high school. So it's been really fantastic to welcome everyone back. We have quite a few new students. I think last time we counted 22 across grades 6 through 12. And they keep coming. We had another one today. They're coming in droves, which is really nice. And so we have a lot of new faces, which has been really great. I think the kids in a small school really notice those new faces and get excited to welcome them. Fall sports are up and running, which is awesome. We had a great night last night. We had 3 out of 4 varsity wins last night, so that was good. Even coming home to my own home, I have 2 varsity athletes. We were a happy house. And then tonight, it can change a little bit, not as good, but they're really, strong. We have some new coaches in place, so we're really excited for a great season. We don't have quite as many reimagined spaces this year as last year, and we've been doing a lot of building improvements every year to make the spaces work for us. As Amy said, moving people, moving places. We had 12, probably more. 12 is what I could count off the top of my head, classroom moves this year to try to make the new 6 through 12 model work. As you know and remember, we had a new model last year, which shifted a lot of the middle school specific teams, 6, 7, and 8, to be 6 and high school. 7, 8 teams. So in order to do that, we moved a lot of classrooms. We had some spaces available, which actually has worked out perfectly. I actually finally walked down the hall, like every space is used, I think, to its maximum capacity. We have no empty classrooms, but everybody for the first time since I can remember has their own classroom. So in the high school, specifically, it used to be a lot of traveling around in carts and having to go from one place to the other. Because of some of the shifts, we've been able to give everybody their own classroom. So people have done a great job of setting things up and making it warm and welcoming for our kids. we've reimagined some of the spaces where we had the space formerly known as Rise, which was our therapeutic learning space. We have a different profile of kids now than when that program was originally developed. So we spent a lot of time over the summer reimagining what that would look like, really making it meet the needs of our existing kids. So we've redesigned the room to meet that need. We have a new senior cafe, which was new last year, but we opened up the wall. And some of the seniors were like, oh, it takes away our privacy. But I said, well, if we didn't have the wall, you wouldn't have a room at all, because we have to have some supervision. And they've actually really rose to the occasion. And it's really nice to see them when, we walk in, seeing kids around studying and talking and working together. So that was a great upgrade. And then we are in the process of getting a new ceramics studio, which we're really excited about, because the ceramics kiln has been in the middle school art room, and the middle and high school have both used it. But the problem is there's also been middle school classes going on when there's hot kilns and clay and things trying to dry. And so there was the fear of a little bit of a safety hazard in terms of kids roughhousing and running into the kiln. So we have taken the former health room, which the teacher wanted to move anyway, because he felt like they don't do enough cooking to need that space. And we are going to move in a kiln and have a dedicated ceramics studio. So that is the picture on the bottom. It's not fully developed because the kiln isn't in there yet, but the art teachers started putting together tables. They're going to be using that space we have 4 ceramics classes we're going to be offering 6 through 12 this year. So that's exciting. And then this is just, some pictures of everybody on opening days. Like I said, it was funny. We got so wrapped up in opening days that at the end of Thursday, I sent out something to my staff, send me pictures, because I didn't even have my phones out. We've been trying to practice modeling, not having our phones out all the time. So we got some pictures of people, not as many of middle school, but they really were just so much energy in the hallways and in the classrooms on opening days, which was kicked off by the staff through the Project Adventure PD that we did the day before school started. A lot of them were doing that with the kids on opening days to try to get to know each other. So it was really just a great feel and just so fantastic to have the kids back in the building. They're the best part of the job, and it's been really nice to see them and see some new faces too. So
I think I said at the Welcome Back days that, there's something energizing in a strange way when school closes. When you're an administrator and you're here year round and you suddenly walk those quiet halls when everybody's not there and you take a breath and you kind of reflect. But then that goes away pretty quickly, and then you realize the only thing that really makes the schools hum and feel alive is when we have students and staff back. So really nice to see everybody back. And, it's a weird profession where you get to hit a reset button. It's like you get this video game do-over, and you just get to reinvent and try new lessons and learn from your mistakes and learn from your successes. And it's a beautiful part of being an educator that I think a lot of us cherish. So I can feel that as you walk through schools. I can feel it when I talk to teachers and staff. You can see it when principals are talking about their opening days. So big thank you to everybody who's kind of worked behind the scenes in these year-round positions, who've been here all summer long, taking less vacation time than others to make sure that we're really ready to open up. That's buildings and grounds and admin assistants and our custodial staff particularly, and then food services stepping up to put together great breakfasts and lunches for us. So we're really, it's really a team effort to get everybody on the same page when we open up these doors. So I appreciate that, and it doesn't go unnoticed.
Thoughts from us?
that was
I would say one thing, which is that I think it's so wonderful if one outcome of all of the work that's happened over the past 2 years is that every teacher has his or her own classroom. It's such a big deal, right, not to have to jump up and run to the next space when the bell rings. So I think that's a great outcome, and I would imagine people appreciate that so much. Yeah, so thank you.
It's been very settling to have that, I think, for everybody. And also there's been the big transition this year. We're only 4 years in, but to really having middle high school feel a little bit more like a middle high school. So we still are working really hard to maintain, a middle school and a high school, but with classes up and down a little bit more. There's been more reason for high school to be downstairs and more reason for middle school to be upstairs. And I think people are starting, they were really nervous about that, but now that they're seeing it come to fruition, there's so many good things. I mean, we have so many great kids who can model and be mentors, and so that's actually been a really positive thing too.
It's great. Nice lab aprons here.
Ms. Capasso's opening day get to know you lab exercise. So
Those are
they're all
awesome
thrilled
photos.
That they're on this PowerPoint right
I can see those in a future edition of In the Loop.
Whatever high
Like,
school
what
student
is going on in this photo? What do you think they're holding in their hands?
I was doing a full walkthrough of the building, and I think the whole high school administrative team was also doing a walkthrough, and we collided at this door at the same time. So all of a sudden, like half the administrators in the district walked in on this. So luckily, they were not thrown at all by us being around.
It's they look great. Awesome. Closest we'll ever come to school uniforms.
Yes.
Right there in that photo. All right. Thank you so much. I think. Do you have more? I don't want to cut you off.
No.
Uh,
We just weren't sure.
Any
if you
more
saved-
photos?
No more photos.
All set?
All right. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all you do to help everybody have a great start. Thank you. All right, Dr. Branco, now is time for goals, your 25-26 goals. There they are. And I think these will look familiar to
They
us.
should look familiar. Oop, shut myself off. They should look familiar. The big one now that I have graduated from the NCEP program, so that the NCEP goal falls off, and so that I'm in year 4. And my mentor, Chris McGrath, says to all of you to have a great opening day and sent me a nice card and said I've graduated to being a full-grown superintendent, which is kind of nice. So the mentor program is over at the state level, so we're in year 4. So really I'm focusing that major goal on us updating and implementing the SDI. The SDI, along with the SOA and along with our budget, are those 3 major driving documents that you'll hear about all year long. And if we're doing our work well as a leadership team, those will all connect like pieces of a puzzle, and they'll really come together and kind of forge ahead and kind of outline the work that we're going to do. So this is just a quick overview of the key actions that will take place this year. We will go through the draft SDI tonight in hopes that we can have some questions and some conversations with the committee and hopefully get approval for the SDI at the end of tonight's meeting. But that's the leadership team will stay here and take us kind of through a drive of that document tonight. So you'll see the completed SDI. We would like to have progress updates more like we did last year, more authentic, so it's not just this giant drive-through car wash at the end of the SDI, but that 3 or 4 or 5 times over the course of our meetings, we can give you some focused updates. And I think Ms. Good, you and I are going to talk about some nomenclature or some way in the slide decks or in the documents to even connect the work to the SDI, so that we all know which updates we've received and how we're doing on sharing that with the community. The second one ties right to your goal around community connections and advocacy. So some of this is really to continue with the In the Loop, but we've had conversations in different sets of the leadership team about expanding the In the Loop communications and sort of making that our communications brand, so to speak. So continuing with the 3 newsletters, but trying to get topical postcards out 2 or 3 times a year or as necessary. For example, a save the date. So we're going to try to send one out to all community members that has every single date of all of our concerts, all of our plays, our musicals, our art shows, that they can just pin right up on the refrigerator or wherever they keep their important little information, and just have that all year long. And then others, like did you know, little fact hits, little interesting things that kind of come across us that we think either could get buried in the loop or that are more timely. So we'll have those conversations as a leadership team and see if we can get 2 or 3 of those out in a postcard form. And if you remember, we did a postcard last year just to let them know it was coming and to solicit advertisements as well, so that we already have sort of a template and a model and a cost associated with that. This one scares me a little. I know the theater guy can come out in me, but this will be new territory for me a little bit. So we'd like to talk about participating or producing some kind of digital or broadcast media connection. So we were talking about podcasting. We're going to try to talk to 1623 about do we do some kind of educational component on their station with the school district, where it's maybe me, school leaders, central office leaders, students, teachers, whatever that's going to look like. Can we come out and do some kind of work either through podcasting and cable access or both? So the hope is we'll meet that goal in some kind of unique way by the end of the year. I'd like to provide at least 2 opportunities for the students to engage directly with me. I don't know what that's going to look like. It could be way more than 2, but I'm just trying to give myself a goal that I know I'll attain and be proud of at the end of the year. So somehow, other than just walking in and having a free sample of tater tots, I think it would be important for me to really, have good conversations about are the kids getting enough? Are we meeting their needs? What are their experiences at the school? And how are we really preparing them for college, career, and service from their point of view, whether they're a kindergartner or someone ready to run out of the high school off to college or career or work. So that's my hope, is to get out there a little bit. And then to foster and maintain some of the community connections between the school district and our local community organizations, Ed Foundation, Friends of Rockport Athletics, Rockport Music, Rotary, Greater Cape Ann Chamber of Commerce, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch not on this list. This is just sort of a sample list of organizations and groups that I think we need to continue to engage. And so when the school committee is talking about active listening, it might be that some of my goals and your goals hit at the same time. So that would be great conversations for us to have as well. And again, all in the spirit of making sure the community knows that we're being good stewards of the finances, and that we're providing their young people, the next generation of leaders and Rockport citizens, with the best education possible, and that we believe the best way to do that is right here in Rockport. So as long as we know what our goal and mission is, I think we'll be pretty steadfast in that work. So the last one, maybe 2 more. Management and operations. I've sort of lumped together some of the things I know we have to worry about: systems, policies, budget, and staff. When Chairwoman Oakes and I were talking about this meeting, one of the things, we talked about is we've had 2 successful contract negotiations. So I don't want to ever call a year a light year, because that'll come back to get me in a month or 2, I think. But right now, that heavy lift, we're in a good place for some of that work, and then we did all that policy work. So the past, 2 or 3 years, there's been a lot of work around that. So this year, it's really about maintaining an iterative process for policy review to make sure that we don't find ourselves in the same place we were. Work on promoting a healthy professional culture where staff feels valued, psychologically safe, and connected to the work, so that we can really focus on growth and achievement. And so that work is going to be sort of at the forefront. And again, that ties to the SDI and the SOA, and quite honestly ties to the budget work as well. And then my 4th one is a professional growth practice goal that I put in every year around some of the work that I do outside to hopefully better myself as an educational leader. I apparently will be serving on the MASS Legislative Committee this year, which I just recently found out. I'm also slated to serve on the Professional Development Committee, because I've been on that one for 7 or 8 years. I'm not sure if that one will fall off my plate or if I just have more on the plate. But I'm excited about the Legislative Committee. I think to have a small school district like Rockport represented at the state level on the Legislative Committee, where I'll get to be in the know, in the loop, and in the work, I'll be able to come back to the community with some timely information and really be part of the North Shore team of North Shore is a very politically active group of superintendents and school districts, and we have a lot of impact on the work that happens at the state level from a legislative standpoint. So it'll be dare I say, fun for me to get into that work a little bit. I'll go out to state and
Wait, I just want to stop you for 1 second. Maybe we should give you a bigger pat on the back. Are you a representative to the legislative committee because your colleagues on the North Shore said we want you to do it on our behalf? So I think that's great. It's not just that somebody called you at the state level and said we need to fill a slot. It's that your colleagues on the North Shore want you to go do that on their and our behalf, and I think that is wonderful.
Thank you. So I'll go to a couple conferences a year if I can, to make sure that I'm getting myself out there from a professional development standpoint. I will continue to teach at the university level. And one of the things we're trying to do in-house that Ms. Good, you and I are beginning working on, is we have solidified a contract with Southern New Hampshire University to offer a graduate course this coming school year that we will co-teach, and it will be open to Rockport teachers for graduate credit or for PDPs, depending what the teacher wants. And so that's a partnership that comes directly out of the fact that I've been adjuncting with that university for a little while now. And so the hope is we can forge that partnership. We kind of pilot this one, and if it goes well, then we could actually offer it and open it up to other school districts in the North Shore, and then ultimately maybe offer more than one course and kind of build a bank of Rockport graduate courses that we know kind of meet our mission in the district. So we'll continue that work. So those questions, thoughts about the goals, and then I just need you to take a motion to approve them.
Comments?
Just a comment. I think you alluded to it earlier with the goals with your community connections and advocacy, how that lines up with our school community goal so nicely as well. So I was really happy to see that. And then a question on goal number 3 for management operations about promoting a healthy professional culture. Any idea what type of evidence you would submit for that? Have you thought about that? I just
Yeah,
don't want to
I-
get you stuck in a spot where
I
you're
thought
not
about it
able
before I
to
wrote
show
it,
that,
actually.
yeah.
So there are survey tools that are pretty well vetted for that kind of work, and I have a lot of experience running focus groups. The problem with the focus group is the bias. People might not always want to tell the person asking the question. So it's a matter of getting like a third-party person to run focus groups. So it's either going to be focus groups or some kind of survey data, and with statements like, this was the work we were trying to do this year. How did we do?
Do on it, yeah.
And really make it really about the work of us as leaders fostering that environment.
Thank you.
Well, and I suspect you've already started to collect data. When you think about the data you collected at the end of the first 2 days to ask people whether they thought that was useful and what they thought about it and how they felt about it, you may be collecting more data already than you realize that would apply. Ms. Altieri?
Question as well. Mark?
Mm-hmm. Jess, any questions or comments? The one thing I was going to say is that I appreciate in goal number 3, item number 3, also that same line, promoting a healthy professional culture, connected to our focus on growth and achievement for all students, because ultimately, of course, that's what we're in the business of doing, making sure that we see growth and achievement from students. So I appreciate that that's in there. If there are no other comments, we vote on this. Is that correct? You need us to vote? All right. I would accept a motion to approve the superintendent's goals for the 2025-26 school year as written.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. That's approved. You're welcome. Thank you. All right. That brings us to 8C, our updated strategy for district improvement, the SDI.
So I think we have multiple members of the leadership team coming up after I kick it off, I guess. So let me just switch. So I want to give credit where credit is due. A lot of times on camera, people will say stuff like "thank you to the superintendent" or pat you on the back, but a lot of my work is facilitation and helping us kind of come to consensus on direction. But a majority of the work gets done below my office level, quite honestly, right? And I think people know that, but I know the people doing the work know that, and I want to make sure it's recognized as much as possible. Really proud of the front page. We spent a lot of time in that first year and a half working together as a district to come together around our mission and our vision and our core values. I think I'd like to pause for a second on the core values when we talk about high expectations, because in the SDI, you're going to see a lot of foundational work being laid out. It's been laid out for a couple of years, and we are going to have to get to the point very soon where the foundational work pivots from foundational work to evidence-based, and I think that's going to be spoken about tonight, and it's actually going to be talked about throughout the course of the year as we start to talk to you about our MTSS systems and our win blocks and all of our acceleration models that are happening within the school day and programming. So when you look at high expectations, and some of us weren't here when we did this work as a school district, but we had all of these buckets of high expectations, and we realized we couldn't have like 17 core values, if you remember, right? So really this was where we wanted to focus on high expectations for certain things. And they were around academic growth and achievement, equitable opportunities, and personal and collective responsibility. And so those are 3 big expectations that kind of tie to all of the work we do. And so when we talk about high expectations for academic growth and achievement, we're going to be talking this year's leadership team of what that looks like, how we quantify that, because we're really in the infancy of understanding our data collection as a school district. So you'll see that hopefully come into fruition this year. we've spent a lot of time talking about health and wellness, social, emotional, physical wellness for all of our learning community members. That can never not be the case. And I think the last one has to be super important. The world is just moving so rapidly. We don't know what the job markets are going to be like, what careers are going to be like. Chairwoman Oakes and I just read an article, I don't even remember where you sent it from, but it was a fascinating article on engineering and how everybody was becoming an engineer 10, 12 years ago, and how now there's a massive pack of unemployed engineers at a very young age in our country, for a lot of reasons. And so the ones that got jobs, I know there's people in the room who have kids who just got those jobs, so congratulations to them. But computer. So when we talk about robust computer science programming, we have to remember that we want our young people to come out of our school district with a lot of knowledge and skills, but the ability to be creative and innovative in whatever field they go into. So that the reality is most young people entering the workforce, and even those in their 20s now, will most likely have 2 or 3 different iterations of a career. And those are the people that wind up the most successful in life quite often, because they can rebound and they can really react to the world around them. So we're going to try to continue to push on that creativity and innovation and look for pockets of evidence in our classrooms and in our programming where that's happening too. And that includes our staff. We've got some really creative and innovative staff who aren't afraid to take chances, aren't afraid to jump for the sake of a kid or a program opportunity. So how we report that out will be interesting as well moving forward. So as you, and I'll bring the leadership team up now, as you remember, we have our big strategic objectives. There's a structural change. I don't know if I'm going to sell the structural change or if Jody's going to sell it. So if you want to come up and do it, that'd be great. So we've made a little bit of change in how we've actually presented this information for the first time. There's 4 chairs. Come on up.
So I can preface the structural change with, we got together late July, and we thought we had a really solid draft of the SDI at that point. And then we went out to the professional development that we've spoken of before, the DESI's Instructional Leadership Institute. And we went through their training about coherence and consistency, and we said at the table, we need to throw the SDI out and we need to focus on this consistency, systemic programming for the whole district. I think Nicole might be the only one who's been here long enough to know that Rockport used to function in a lot of disjointed small buckets. It was hard to get leadership on the same page to focus professional development for everybody and programming for everybody. And now we have a team together, and this is really only our 2nd year together as a full team, to come together and work on these things as a team. And what we thought we would do is we'd write a strategy for district improvement for Rockport Public Schools. We wouldn't break it down by level or by school building, but in every bucket we could split that up with action steps in different buildings, but we wanted this to be focused on consistency. So like with Anne-Marie coining the year of coherence, what we brought out of that PD was the 3 things that we really need to focus on are professional development about deeper learning and high quality instruction, effective teaming and support systems, and then sense of belonging, where that's been a core value and it's been something we focused on. We don't think we do it well enough yet. And what we've learned from that professional development is without the sense of belonging, then the students aren't making any progress from there. So we can jump right into this, and again, as before, there's a lot of information, so please feel free to jump in and stop us wherever you need to, and ask questions as we go. Mark mentioned it earlier, but with these goals, we really feel like we right now are establishing the baseline. This is where we're going to start, and then from there we'll be able to determine better outcomes and goal areas for student achievement and growth. So I have the first one that is about growth and achievement for all students, and it's about the data management. So we're going to continue to develop our MTSS protocols and practices, and that will focus on using the analytic view system, which is now available to every staff member, and using that to be able to use their MTS module to really see what we're doing with those acceleration supports, with those WIN supports, and with Title I in the elementary school, and pulling out that data to be able to write some really strong goals moving forward. And the second piece of that is finding a social emotional screener this fall. We'll work with the SEL team, that all the counselors, health teachers, pull everybody together and pick an SEL screener so that we can bring that data in. We have academic data, we have discipline data, we have attendance data. We just don't have social emotional data yet.
And a couple of us have had this conversation in different ways as committee members and superintendent. We are never at a loss for data in public education. And maybe this is true in other organizations as well, we're at a loss, in many cases in school districts, in how we house it, and that's a weird choice of words, but right, how we pull it all together, how we analyze it, and then what we learn from it and how that impacts teaching and learning. So when Jody talks about the baseline, there's been plenty of data in all public schools, including Rockport, but now that through the budget and through some structural changes with personnel and programming and the purchase of software, all of which we've given you updates on in the past school year, we are now in a place where all of that stuff can come together. So it doesn't mean we haven't been using data wisely to meet the needs of kids in a lot of ways. It means that we've been doing it without it being really focused systemically and in one place where everybody knows where it is, how to get it, and how to use it. So that's the work we're going to do this year. And I'm really proud of the fact that, we're at that place right now, because I think teachers and kids are going to benefit greatly from really having robust, data-driven conversations. I've never met an educator that doesn't want more information on a child. We need to give them the information, but they're professional instructors. They're not all professional data miners. And so we need to help them be able to understand that data.
Jody, can I ask a question about the social emotional screener? I know in the past we've used like a few different things. Was PAIR,
HSA,
was one of them, and
holistic. I cannot remember.
And the YRBS. That
The YRBS that would be separate. That is
separate,
not
okay. 'Cause that's not a
student-based
district.
data.
Okay.
It's not connected to a student. It's completely anonymous. We use Sabres, which was really tricky because the Sabres had teachers filling out the forms, and so there could be some bias in that. Whereas the HSA, the peer, the students did it. We did it grades 3 through 12, and this is one of those ones where we did have to have parent consent. It wasn't just the opt out; it was they had to opt in.
Right.
So yeah, we've reached out to Peer HSA. It's been a few years, so that's even more developed than it was in the past. And I'll meet with that team as a whole, and we'll come up with a couple to review, and I'll let you know what we decide on.
Because I know we've kind of done it and then not done it and then done it in the past.
Well,
So
I
it's
think
great to hear that it's going to be.
It would be good to come back to the wellness committee just for that conversation to keep them in the loop.
Oh,
with that kind of
yeah,
work.
we can
Yeah.
absolutely do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was good to know about the YRBS, that's just kind of a separate.
Yeah, that's an anonymous. We don't use the data for anything but for trends and programming.
Programming. Okay, thank you.
And I have the next one, 2.1, impactful professional practice. So our focus for the next 2 years, all RPS students, just to have equitable opportunities to access environments where they experience a sense of belonging, engage in deeper learning with access to grade appropriate instruction, and are held to high expectations with individualized support. So Amy had shared a picture of the therapeutic space, learning space in her school, and we have similar space at the elementary school. We're also working on improving systems to support our new students. As Amy had said, she has more in the middle high school than I have in elementary, but we are updating systems and finding ways to adapt curriculum and assistive technology to meet the needs of our diverse learners. And we also have the social emotional learning program, morning and afternoon circles, and I know at both schools we're still implementing the restorative circles with staff and students when needed and where we see fit. And then the second one, by the end of this school year, those of us who are evaluating, we are going to use the new DESE model teacher rubric, which we piloted and worked with last year. There's also a specialized instructional support pilot rubric that we're going to use this year. And I think we had all found that the language in the rubrics are much friendlier. it changed the way that I think most of us, if I can speak for everybody, wrote their evaluations. The language was better, it was richer, it was so many good options and choices for us to use when we're providing good feedback to teachers. And also, we had updated the RESA evaluation documentation. So that's for paraprofessionals, our support staff, and things like that. We worked hard on that we looked at other school districts and what they had and kind of took our favorites and combined to make a more robust one that we feel will give them more specific and pointed feedback.
So I think working backwards, one of the other things we've talked about as a team is we want to talk about doing calibration walkthroughs as a leadership team. Maybe not all 9 or 10 of us coming into one classroom at the same time, but 2 or 3 or 4 of us getting out of our comfort zones, out of the school we either lead or that we're most comfortable in, including myself, and going out and seeing the same classroom and taking notes in a practice model, and then we come back and kind of looking at our own work together and sort of tear apart our work and, oh, I wouldn't have phrased it that way, or that's a fantastic way to write that. I didn't see that, you did. We feel like the more we do that kind of work, we've worked with a consultant for the past 2 years from Rebus Education, but I think we feel now that we're at a place where we can kind of pull that together ourselves, and there'll be a lot of value in doing those team learning walks together. And really to build capacity, because we all have strengths in areas in need of growth as leaders and instructional leaders particularly. And so I think that's an area that we're going to try to make happen. We can't really report back on that too much, but I can at least let you know that it happened. Yep. And the other thing is I just want to point out grade appropriate instruction. That's not a small thing. If you're a little older, you grew up in a public school education system where there were kids in the middle and there were kids at the top and there were kids at the bottom, and everybody just knew who those kids were, and Branko was in the middle if he was lucky in the math class, and that's where he stayed his whole life. And so maybe my instruction wasn't on grade level. Maybe my instructors want Mark's level, and nobody ever sent me the message that I actually just wasn't there yet, and I actually can do math and, believe it or not, manage a budget as an adult and do math. And so I do think that that's a shift in education, that bell curve concept, and that we're just not there yet. And so that's a big shift for us who are educators. It's a shift for parents. It's a shift for community members to understand that, there's a lot of research on the brain that says if you set the bar high, most human beings will hit the bar or jump over it more often than not. So that's true about giving kids opportunities to take honors classes, giving kids opportunities to say 2 world languages instead of 1, opportunities to try something that maybe the adults haven't seen them shine in yet. Because I've said this a million times, my parents thought I was going to be a failed 1980s rock and roll star. And here I am sitting at this table today. So we need to set the bar high for kids. So that grade appropriate instruction, I don't want you to miss that. It's kind of buried in here, but it's very strategic and purposeful.
Just a quick question or comment. I know you said you can't really, report out on any calibration you do with the teacher rubric and what you're looking for and observations and whatnot, but do you think there's any benefit to the committee as a whole to having kind of like a template, like a generic template in terms of what you're looking for when you go into a classroom, sort of after you've done that calibration? I don't know if that's something the committee would like to see. I'd be kind of interested in it.
I think at some point, if we're talking about moving teaching and learning forward, we can share public documents for the sake of updating.
I think it'd be really interesting too if you take a moment and check out on DESI's website the model teacher rubric and then the language in the new specialized instructional support personnel rubrics. It's really focused on what people are doing in the classroom, and for the specialized instructional support rubrics, it's like there is one for a nurse, there's one for a psychologist, librarian, counselors, social workers, and speech language pathologists. So they're very specific and tied to their practices as well as the national standards for their roles. So I think they're going to be, although it's more things to shuffle through and paperwork to read when you're doing these, it'll be really more beneficial feedback for those staff members.
So the next part of this priority is around giving people differentiated professional development to meet their needs. So we talk about getting into classrooms and observing them, but we feel really strongly that in doing that, it's not we're not looking for an I gotcha. We want to catch people doing bad. If anything, we really want to give them strong professional development, give them confidence to try new things, to pilot new things, and then give us resources to give them positive feedback. So a lot of the work we've been doing with the kids with the teachers to work with the kids is feedback loops. Feedback loops are so important. If kids don't know where they stand, how are they going to grow? So we really want to focus on doing that with our staff and modeling that for them first. So as you know, just from what we presented at the end of last year, we've been working really collaboratively over the last couple years to make sure that the professional development plan is focused pre-K through 12, so that we may do things slightly different at each level depending on the needs, but the overarching themes, there's a through line that people know what we're looking to do, what we want them to do, so there's no guesswork. So this part is really around making sure we're continuing to do that. We did link in the professional development plan for the year, which we showed you at the final school committee meeting of the year last year. But I think it's something that we're really proud of. We're really hoping to up the ante this year. We've done a lot of groundwork around making sure people understand our themes, looking at diversity, equity, inclusion, all the terms that we've talked about so much at these meetings, but now we're really hoping to give them actual tangible ways to do that. Like, what does that look like? Like you're saying in the evaluations, how do I do that? There's so many good intentioned people, but then you get classes of diverse learners, and how do you do that? Like, that's a lot harder than it seems. So our goal collectively is to make sure that we are evaluating, meeting all of our timelines, but really going above and beyond to give people feedback and tying it directly into those times of PD. One of the big things from the PD committee was, yes, we want more instruction, we want to learn, but we also want time to think about what does this now look like in our classroom? Can we do peer observations? Can we invite evaluators in? Can we have people do walkthroughs more routinely? So that's something that we're going to be focusing a lot on. And with the new population of students that we have, I think it opens up a huge opportunity to really have us focus on how do we have students from all backgrounds, some with limited language abilities, some with different diverse needs. How are they going to access grade appropriate educational opportunities? What does that look like? And there's a lot of people who really, really want that to happen for our kids, but most people are not sure exactly how to do that quite yet. So we're going to kick off our first session this year, September 22nd or 3rd, with some equity-based grading that Dr. Branco is going to lead at the middle high school, and looking at standards-based grading and how we're making all of these, where are our access points, how are we making them accessible, and hoping to make those opportunities more comprehensive over time. So you can link and see the full plan, but that is something that we're focused on pre-K through 12, and also through our coaching, educator feedback, again, coaching our staff up, which I think directly ties back into the opening day where we had the triangle of trust, and really building that trust with our teachers so that they can have the confidence to do the tough work that we are asking of them. And I think people are actually really excited about it. So.
And nice opportunity that I think Jordy talked about at our last meeting about the connections and partnerships with other school districts too, right?
Yeah.
So our small specialists and some of our onesie, twosie teachers who don't have the benefit of a large team, we're going to partner them up with other school districts to do professional development. So art teachers coming together in the North Shore and music teachers coming together in the North Shore, because we are small and it's difficult sometimes to get energized and really stimulated with new ideas around teaching and learning in your subject area when there's only a few of you. So that's an exciting move too.
Back to me again. This time, this one is about programming. So this is about the programming of the win blocks, the what I need blocks, and taking a look at them at each level so that they can be all that they possibly can be for our students, so that they can offer the acceleration support, so that they can have extensions of their other content learning, so that we could start building some cross-curriculum opportunities for project-based learning. So we've really revised how those were done in different places. In 9 through 12, the students are able to use MyFlex Learning to schedule themselves into where they need to go for 6 out of the 7 days. The teachers choose first. So if they need a student for makeup work or for any kind of support, they schedule the students, and then the students who aren't scheduled can pick where they go from there. So that's brand new, and it seems to be, Amy said there were a couple kinks the first couple days, but it's going pretty well. So the 9 through 12 grade, they have way more options of what they can do and where they can go. And we're looking at maybe opening up some other areas in the school for them to do that if there's someone who doesn't need any additional support. In 6 through 8, it's staying with, we are picking the groups and we are assigning them and scheduling them for a quarter right now. So there is a literacy block, a math block, taught by either the content teacher or the acceleration specialist in that area. And then they'll have an extension of either science or social studies. And we've made one extra block for those students who are already getting additional academic support or additional special education services to actually be able to get a break in their day instead of being being in 3 literacy blocks a day. They're getting a break in their day. And then if you remember at the elementary school, we piloted WIN 3 times last year. And instead of doing an all hands on deck WIN block, which was kind of a mess. What we've done is we have every single grade level team will have at least one WIN block of at least 30 minutes per week. So that if they have 2, one will be math, one will be literacy. If it's once a week, they'll alternate math and literacy from there. And that groups will have their grade level team with their special education liaison, their paraprofessionals who are assigned, and then we'll have the reading specialist, the Title I teacher, the math acceleration specialist who can also teach literacy, and the instructional coach with that group so they can make smaller groups. So that is what's happening this year, and we'll collect the data from that and see if we need to make programmatic changes after this year, and that's why we did it just till June for this year to see how it goes.
While Jody takes a quick breath, think back to what I said about laying that foundation. This is the foundation. This domain then turns into data-driven results. This is the springboard to, okay, you just spent money on MyFlex Learning. You are putting kids into WIN blocks. You're giving them opportunities to work with acceleration specialists. You're theoretically giving kids what they need to either close a gap or to remain at the line they're already at, or higher. So how do you prove that you did that? So we know that that's coming next. So we need to understand that it's been a little while for us to collect the data foundationally and to lay this all out. So you're going to see this, and this year during presentations, I would suspect you're going to see authentic presentations around that with subsets of students, types of students, cohorts, so that we can start to show you, hey, there's evidence to all of the work that you've been supporting us in. And I do think that this will look even different again next year because we'll have some more quantifiable language in here based on profiles of students and the needs that we know about. But where the profile of the student, the profile of the learner and the graduate is changing in Rockport, and we need to be ready to meet the needs of our ever-changing population of students. And so that's hard work, and this is hopefully is reflective of us trying to do that.
I think it would be really great to. Are you still going, Jody? Are you were taking a breath and going to the next one, or are you? Oh, Amory. I'll say
Go
this
ahead.
at the
No,
end.
you can go ahead.
What you were talking about, Mark, is when we sort of like have those authentic presentations, when we have, because if we could link it back, just so we know, so we're a little maybe dense as a school committee, but sort of where it, you're showing us this work, you're showing us, so it'd be great if we could know sort of like, oh, and this links back to our outcome or our, what we were going to show you, our output-based evidence to this goal would be really helpful, because I think we might need some help making those connections.
Mark and I think you alluded to this earlier, that we will attach with whatever we're presenting, you'll know which SDI goal we're working on and which SOA goal we're working on so that you can see where they go. And this, I think that what we get out of this goal this year, we'll be able to create some really focused goals on growth and achievement coming out of this.
So we're continuing with our comprehensive programming and taking a look at reviewing, rebranding, and implementing specialized programming to better meet the needs of all of our students with diverse learning needs, social emotional needs, behavioral needs. So by June of next year, at the Rockport Elementary School, we will have fully implemented an intensive learning program. That program is staffed by a special needs teacher, severe special needs teacher, and then paraeducators to support students with learning challenges. Right now, there are 4 students enrolled in that program, and we are working to collect data. The goal of the intensive learning program is to build inclusive opportunities as best we can, while also trying to work on the academic piece and find their entry points and teach at grade level. So we're doing a balance of inclusion in the classroom and then intensive pull-out academic services, if that makes sense. And also at Rockport Elementary, we are looking at the therapeutic learning program, TLC. That has been effective for our students that have behavior problems. We are working to incorporate more trauma-informed practices, collect data, and work with our counselors, our BCBAs, our special ed teachers on how to collect behavioral and social emotional data. And that is all going to be entwined again. Right now, it's an opportunity for students that need to come out and work on some skills and then go back to the classroom. So we're going to look at that with Ann Donovan, similar to the program review that we did last year. We are focusing on our therapeutic support programs, pre-K to 12. And so we'll be looking much more closely at data and the effectiveness, and based on our needs, do we have to shift and pivot, or do we stay the course, kind of thing. I think that's the real difficult thing, is that our population consistently changes, and we establish programs, and then we sit back and we say, wait, that's not meeting the needs of our students, so we have to change gears. And so we're taking a closer look at all of these types of things. For example, at the middle high school, the title used to be RISE, so Restore, Inspire, Sustain, and Educate. We have shifted the focus there, Amy mentioned earlier, to a therapeutic learning space. And again, it's based on the needs of the students. Again, it's a push-in, pull-out sort of program where it's oversought by school psychologists, BCBA, and support staff. So we'll be looking at that to make sure that we're on point, I guess, to support the needs of our students at that level. And then finally, the RMHS leadership team will implement and review the newly revised 6 through 12 schedule. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I know this has been, in the SDI for a couple of years now. We've been in the process of reevaluating the 6 through 12 schedule. Last year, we implemented version 1.0, and now we're happy this year to have a 2.0 version based off of the feedback from last year. It's a much more cohesive, comprehensive, unified schedule, which is really nice. Last year we had like 4 different versions of it, so depending on what grade you taught, it was slightly different. This year it's pretty much all the same, but we've been able to really include that the advisory, programmatic changes that we want to use for the push in and pull out, and really utilize staff, which has been the most exciting part, because I don't know if most people know this, but most people know we share staff 6 through 12, but we actually share some staff pre-K through 12. So we have, our music teachers who teach in the morning. We now have our EL teacher who teaches in the morning, some acceleration specialists that kind of go back and forth. So it's been really nice to see how it can work and really maximize our use of staff this year, so that we can support students in the morning who need it, and then have people be able to shift back and forth. So we're excited to see how this schedule is going to allow us to really maximize the team model. We've built in time for high school even to have team time this year, not quite as much as middle school, but twice a cycle, which is going to be great for them to really be able to look at that data, that analytic view, and see what our students need and make data-driven decisions around that.
And Anne Marie mentioned the special ed program review. So I know that we had told you it happened last year, but it's a pretty thick report that came in, and Anne Marie's had lots of time with her staff to review it, and I've taken a good look at it, and so I know that Anne Marie is going to be coming back to this committee sometime within the first couple months of school, once we figure out what that schedule looks like, to give you and the community a really thorough update of what the findings were. And some of this work, just to give Anne Marie and the team credit, like, we're not waiting around to do a public dissemination. We saw some areas of need immediately, and the leadership team and Anne Marie's staff have really moved quickly to try to make some adjustments across all grade levels based on those recommendations. But you'll get a nice thorough update on that with a full copy of the report very soon.
The next goal area about comprehensive programming, the first one is related to the curriculum review cycle, which you've heard about a few times and we've talked about already. You know we're going to be looking at K-12 ELA this year, 9-12 math, and 6-12 history, social studies, secondary resources. Next year it'll be a high school science and K-12P and health resources. But that is something that we didn't really have a curriculum review cycle until Dr. Branco came in, and that's something we've been working on, and we've added some really good high quality programming through that process. And the last goal is really more about bringing it all together in terms of programming. It's to take all of the data that we're getting, to really look at what we're doing, to then be able to look at the programming and figure out, is our acceleration model working? Is it what we want to do? Is our WIN program working? Is it what we want to do? What do we have to change about our referral processes with student study teams and instructional support teams? And what's that MTSS looking like moving into the next year, going from there?
I think that one is super important. Organizational change is hard, and oftentimes average and below average organizations, they make change structurally, and then they just sit in that forever, regardless of what the data tells them, or they don't have the guts to look at the data, because it's too hard to make another change. And I hope that over a short period of time, we've demonstrated that we're not afraid of that. But change for change's sake is dangerous, but purposeful systemic change is impactful for successful organizations. So that's the hope here, so that we'll have some data that's not just purposefully student-centered to impact instructional practices, but it will tell the leadership team, your programs are working, or they need to be tweaked. And I think that's a really important piece to put out there. That's a lot. Questions, thoughts, comments? I saw you taking notes.
Thank you. School committee members, do you have thoughts or comments? Wait, I do.
That's right.
I do. Here's my observation. It's great to see all four of you presenting as a team. And when you talk about this being systemic work and no longer breaking this into an elementary, middle, and a high school level document, I think that's what we see. And I think that's probably great because obviously the children who are in elementary school, before you know it, they will be in middle school and then they will be in high school. So they're all ours. And so it's wonderful to see this being a systemic approach. I also am I'm mindful about the amount of technology that you are using to try to do this in a smart way. When I think about helping all high school students figure out where to go for WIN block, I think that's a lot. And then I think, oh, and the middle school students are going to figure out where they're going as well. That's really a lot. And then you're going to do it for the little ones, and that's even more. And that can be really chaotic, and that chaos can cause people to give up and say this is too hard. And so that you master that technology is so important because it makes it easier for people to do it. Likewise, I hear you saying really clearly the data warehouse and the ACU, whatever it is, view, analytic view, that there's a purpose to that, which is to begin to look at data and to build cohorts and to understand which children need a little more so that they catch up. It's not enough to just continue to have everybody go forward. Some children, frankly, need to go forward faster in order to catch up. So I don't think that will happen for children unless there is a team doing this work in a systemic way. And I think we've made enormous strides in 2 years in this area, and we're not there yet, obviously, but it's very impressive to see the work and to see the teamwork. And then the last thing I think is that it's not just what you're doing, it's what's happening in classrooms. And so when you go into classrooms and you go together as a team and you calibrate your walkthroughs, it's not just that you see what's happening, it's that teachers see that you are all on the same page and that you're walking your talk when you say you want to be a system and you want to learn from each other. And I think that will go all the way back to those pillars of trust, right? It's much easier to trust people when you see people doing these things that show how much, you know, they want to be consistent and they want to see what's happening. So I really, I think you've written a great plan. I look forward to seeing how it goes. And then I will look forward to the next iteration as well down the line. But thank you so much for the presentation and for the work that has clearly gone into all of this. I think you'd like us to vote to accept this.
Correct.
All right. Are there any other comments or observations or thoughts or questions? It's fine if there are. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the Rockport Strategy for District Improvement for school year 25-26 as written.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you so much. That passes unanimously.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us along to item number 9, which is finance.
We have no finance update tonight.
All right. And school committee discussion. School committee discussion. I will tell you, I had the opportunity just by coincidence to stand on the sidewalk on the first day of school. I think I was signing something or other. And it was really a delight to see the excitement. I thought the penguin was great. I loved the blow up love tunnel. I thought that the kids did an awesome job leaving their moms on the sidewalk and their dads and just marching in. And one of my favorite memories really is this giant SUV with multiple children who pulled up to the sidewalk, and one young man is hanging out of the back window yelling, "Luna, Luna, Luna, Luna." Luna's the dog, right, who belongs and comes along with the SRO. And it was just really a lovely 15 minutes of community in our schools. I wish we could have videotaped that. All you need to do is put that little video up and say, look at this wonderful community and look how good this is for students. Look how happy they are to be here. Look at how good parents feel giving us their most precious thing, obviously, their most precious thing, that child. So that was really great to see. The other thing I would say is that we have had a nice conversation about attendance at the Massachusetts Association of School Committee Conference in November, and so appreciate all that feedback and all the work on our goal. I will not be here in 2 weeks. Thank you for chairing the meeting in my absence. And are there other questions or thoughts? Compliments? All okay? All right. Do we have a need for an executive session?
We do not.
Great. That brings us to item 12, adjournment. If somebody would like to make a motion, we will wrap this up.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great evening. Thank you again.